What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Hero 31 is just around the corner. Let's go over the release dates, hints, and possible characters. If you enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Let's get started. When it comes to releasing new content for Overwatch, Blizzard follows a fairly set schedule. They have different times of the year for the events, different times for new maps, and then they release 3 new characters each year. The first is in March, the second is in July, and the third is November. Specifically, it's announced at BlizzCon. However, just recently, Jeff Kaplan said that the summertime content event stuff is going to be shifted around a bit, and it's not going to be at the same time that you might have expected from previous years. Now, when I heard him say this, it kind of sounded like he was mostly talking about the summer games being moved around and not the new character. For the summer games, it makes sense for them to move it up earlier in the year so more people have an opportunity to play it, because what they've had in the previous years was it was really late into the summer where people started to go back to school and back to work, so moving it up earlier makes sense. Moving the Hero release schedule doesn't quite, because they still need to have that gap in time between the previous one in March and the next one in November, so the first week of July still feels like it's a pretty good time frame. In the last few years, Blizzard has avoided announcing a new hero on July 4th. They've always done it a little bit before or after the holiday, and I don't think that's going to change. So, option 1, before July 4th, I think the most likely hero announcement date would be July 2nd, and we'll get a couple of teasers before then. Those teasers would probably start tomorrow, but they could actually start as early as today. Now, keep in mind, for the most part, Blizzard had been using the same kind of methodology for releasing these teasers. They would release one, skip a day, release another, skip a day, release another. And that's what they were doing for Doomfist and Orisa and some of the others. But with Baptiste, they had one minor teaser and then just announced the character, which I think a lot of people would prefer to have multiple teasers because it kind of builds up the character a little bit more. But moving on to option 2, they would start the teasers the first week of July. It could be as early as Wednesday, July 3rd, and then skipping over the holiday and then another teaser on the 5th, or they could just wait until the holiday is over. But in either case, I think the most likely announcement date for that situation would be July 11th. Of course, all of this is assuming that it's the Summer Games event that gets moved around during the summer and not the new character. So, who knows? Now let's talk about who this new character is going to be. When it comes to new heroes, sometimes the players know a little bit about them beforehand and they're kind of expecting it, like Ana and Brigitte and Doomfist and Hammond and Sombra. But then other characters just come completely out of nowhere, and the players never even knew they existed, like Ashe, Baptiste, Moira, and Orisa. So it's kind of split. Like, we might know who the character is, we might have gotten some teasers in the animations or the comics or in-game, but there's also a pretty good chance that this new character is someone that we have absolutely no idea who it is. We've never seen or heard of this character at all before, ever, so it's kind of split. But since it's pretty difficult to talk about the characters you don't know exist, let's go over the ones that do exist. And there's a pretty big list of all of these, right? You've got Maximilian, Sanjay, Antonio, Junker Queen, Sven, Daehyun, you've got the entire Mecha Squad, you've got the 2 people on the far ends of this, which we found out recently that the one on the far right is Sojourn, so we know that that character is existing in the universe right now. In fact, we got a little bit of her during the Storm Rising event, but they did confirm Sojourn will not be Hero 31, so we can kind of cross that one out. On the far left of this image is another character that we don't know about. So this was originally a member of Overwatch, but as you can see in one of these other comics, this is the Masquerade comic with Doomfist, that character is now one of the leadership in Talon, which is kind of interesting because that's right with Reaper, who is also a former member of Overwatch, now a leader of Talon. You see a kind of a pattern growing here. Next up is, speaking of one of the original Overwatch members, you have Lau, who we have no idea who this character is. We have no idea what Lau looks like or what he could possibly be doing. They haven't shown us anything. Originally, we thought that guy that I just showed you was Lau, but that was confirmed not to be, so Lau is one of the founding members of Overwatch, and he's still a complete mystery. Then you have this list, which came from one of the earlier trailers for the game. Now, on the top right is, of course, Sojourn, so we know that character to be confirmed. All the others, Who knows? And then you have this master list right here with all of the early character concepts. Some of these were made into characters. It's possible that others could be as well. Although apparently Mama Hong is one of the most controversial potential characters right behind Hammond. But if they added Hammond, who knows, right? Another potential character would be Farah's dad, Sam. He is a Canadian, and we first saw him in one of the comics. Later on, there was a spray added to the game that showed this character a little bit more. Now, this character is a little older, so that's not completely out of the question, because we do have Reinhardt, and we have Soldier 76 and Ana and some of those, right? So older characters don't necessarily disqualify them from being in the game. However, the character's Sam's occupation was listed as public servant. So he doesn't quite seem like a fighter. Now, I did hear a rumor that the next hero could be Canadian, in which case it could be Sam, but I'm thinking there might actually be a different possibility. Maybe it's someone that Sam knows, or it could be another one of Sam's children from when he's living in Canada, because remember, Sam and Ana ended up splitting up for whatever reasons. I don't think we fully know what those reasons are, but it's certainly possible he went and started another family and had more kids, so one of his other children could be another character, so that's a possibility. On the Paris map, we got introduced to a bunch of different Omnics. The female Omnic on the left apparently is named Vote, and she's mentioned in audio during the map. Also, on the Baptiste teaser itself, there's text hidden underneath the text. So the letter is talking about Baptiste, but then you have handwriting that's underneath it talking about that female Omnic. And it appears that the letter was written, the handwritten letter part was written by Maximilian, and it's thanking her for doing something. So that character was mentioned. It's a teaser within a teaser, which is kind of neat. Going back to that letter, the top part was written by a Talon operative named Nguyen, and he's writing about Baptiste and what the situation is with that. That character was later expanded upon in Baptiste's short story that he recently got. This is what he looks like, so he is also a Talon agent. Also introduced in this story and elaborated on in a much more significant degree is Moga, another Talon operative. He's effectively the Talon tank that a lot of people have been waiting for. It seems like his equipment, his armor, and his weapons are based around the Talon heavy assault units that you can find in some of the Archives events. Now, the way he's described in the story is a little bit different because he has a shield and some other things, but there seemed to be a ton of information describing what this character is like and what sort of weapons and abilities this character will have. So this is a prime candidate for a new character. And lastly, we have a brand new Omnic that was introduced at the end of the Storm Rising event, who is in a meeting with Doomfist over near the Temple of Anubis. Now, this character is just generally referred to as Anubis, and that was also the name of a super powerful Omnic program that was brought up during the Farah comic. So this character could be that, it could be something else, maybe it could finally be that Anubis program in some sort of actual physical body. There's a bunch of different possibilities, but this character does seem to have quite a significance to the story and to what's going on with Talon and everything else. Alright, let's talk about what the likelihood of each of these characters being Hero 31 is going to be. So for the high percentage chance, I think Moga has a really good... I mean, it seemed like they were building him up quite a bit in that story in order to introduce him. They also already have a bunch of sprays for the character in the game. Yes, they're connected to Baptiste, but still, they've been doing a lot to introduce this character. The other one is the Omnic that we saw at the end of the Storm Rising event. It seemed like it was very important that this character exists, and it's going to have a big impact on the story, so very likely that could be a possibility. And then for Maximilian. Now, I know a lot of people think Maximilian probably won't ever become a character because he kind of sits in the back, he doesn't like to get his hands dirty, and I think that's fine, but they already have the character model for him done, right? They put him in the cinematics, all that sort of stuff. They already have that done, so that's a huge part of it right there. And second, they could definitely make a new type of character set where he's more of a, you know, in the background kind of guy, right? Like, he's more of a support, he stays in the back, he does his own thing. Imagine, like, a slightly more evil Zenyatta, where he focuses more on debuffing and that sort of stuff. So I think it could definitely work. Now, for the lower percent chances, we have this guy right here who is still unnamed, but you know, maybe they've been trying to introduce more bad guys to the story. So again, this kind of falls in with the other Talon stuff where maybe they could have him. Same thing with Sanjay. Again, they only have one Vishkar character in the entire game right now, and that's Symmetra. So by adding Sanjay, they would not only add another Vishkar character, but also a high-ranking member of Talon. Junker Queen seems to be one of those characters that's kind of always around, just kind of sitting off to the side, where at any time Blizzard could just introduce it to the game, so that's a possibility. The other one is Nguyen, but again, I am not really sure. I think if they're going to add one from that recent story, I think it's going to be Maga instead. And then, of course, another chance is the Mecha Squad. Now, there's 5 of these, and Blizzard could pick any one of them to add to the game. The Demon character would probably be the most likely choice, but again, any one of these. They've already added the mechs to the game. I'm sure they would make some changes here and there, but that's certainly a possibility. Now, for the unlikely characters, you have Farah's father, Sam. Again, as I explained earlier, I'm not quite sure it would be Sam. Again, there was some rumors that maybe it's going to be a Canadian hero, but I think it might be someone connected to Sam as opposed to Sam himself. And then you have Daeyoon, who is just kind of Diva's friend, and I think if they're going to add someone from that area, it's probably going to be the Mecha Squad instead. Then you have Sven, who is from one of the comics. He's essentially the evil version of Torbjorn. I mean, they could have more kinds of characters like that. Maybe he could pop up in Talon at some point. Lao, again, we don't really know anything about him. Antonio, I throw in here just because a lot of people don't seem to think that he actually got taken out. Like, it's all kind of a fake thing. So, who knows? We're just going to put him in the unlikely. Now, for the confirmed not Hero 31, Blizzard has said that Echo and Sojourn will not be Hero 31. Now, unless they're trying to pull a fast one on us, we can just rule those 2 characters out. But there you go, that's my list. What character do you think is going to be Hero 31? Is it going to be someone on this list, or is it going to be someone that we don't know anything about? Let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.